Mm.
So, hello, my name is Gloria Mantooth, and today we're talking with Mr. Dale Willis
Yeah,
regarding his father, Clarance Willis, who was
yeah.
a master sergeant in the United States Air Force when he retired.
Yeah, he was actually in the army.
He was in the Army. Okay.
Yeah,
Master
yeah,
sergeant in the Army.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'd like to uh, share that we're thankful for your service by interviewing you and learning your story today,
Mm.
by documenting and preserving your story for future generations to come to know
Mm.
that you were here and that you contributed. This project is being sponsored by the Santa Maria Lompoc branch of the NAACP,
Yeah.
C4 Lompoc, Collective Cultures Creating Change, the Fund for Santa Barbara, the Shumash Indians,
Mm.
Joan Hartman, our third county district supervisor, Santa Barbara County supervisor, and many other local organizations. So before we begin, I discussed with you the interview release form granting Unsung Heroes Living History Project, a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization, the right to use this interview as detailed in the release of deed at the conclusion of this interview. If so, can we proceed?
Amen. Yes.
All right, all right. Well, today I'd like to talk with you about your father and
Mm.
his military service. There are no right or wrong answers, just whatever you remember, whatever you feel, or what you were told growing up. If
Yeah.
there's something that you don't remember, that's okay. Just take
Yeah.
your time.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
let's start with what his life was like before the military. Where did he grow up?
Dad grew up down in Louisiana, a place called Vacherie, Louisiana.
Hmm.
And only thing I remember about Louisiana, he wanted me to go there so that I can become familiar with his side of the family. So I stayed with my aunt about 6 months and in Louisiana, and I see why he got out of there. It was the country, and the people didn't take to me because I was from California and I was light skinned, so they called me Tanny.
Mm.
And just being new in the area, there was a lot of teasing and stuff. But that was my first year playing football, and I found out I was playing football against grown men. Because the guys would leave high school every year to go cut sugar cane. So then they'd come back to high school while they were behind. And so they're like 20, 19, and 20 years old. And I was 16, 15, 16 years old.
Mhm.
So that's how I got familiar with where he's from. And
Okay.
yeah, that's
And
Louisiana.
do you know why he decided to join the military?
Yeah, his he tells the story that he was kind of an independent guy, strong-willed, and his father told him that he wanted him to leave to get out of Louisiana because my dad's father didn't was feared for my father's life because Louisiana was a very different place at that time, and so Dad went into the army. I think he lied about his age, and they took him in anyway. I think he was 17. He said when he went in, and he was supposed to go to I forget the place, the Okinawa. Um, at any rate, the reason why it's significant is they let him come to Washington because my sister was going to be born, and they let him come to her for her birth. And unfortunately, the group that he was with, there was a lot of casualties. So he used to tell that story because he could have been, you know. But that's when he and my mom got back together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned other family members that joined the military that you're aware of?
Yeah, my brother Kirk and my other brother Mark, they were both Army. My oldest brother Robert, he went in straight out of high school and he went to Vietnam. And I think he went back 4 times, and it changed him. When he finally came home, he was a different guy.
Mhm.
And so, yeah.
And so did your father ever talk about the boot camp or his training?
Uh, he didn't talk about his military experiences a lot, but you really could see it in his behavior, because I think when he left Louisiana, he was a young man, becoming man,
Mhm.
and the military really shaped his life. So he's very strict, very goal oriented, very stay to it, kind of guy. And he was that way with us. But it was good, It wasn't. It I think it worked out for him in lots of ways because he succeeded in a lot of things. Um, but I think he if you look at his latter years, um, he learned some things and he became a much more gentle, more personable person. So I think he probably would have liked to have been a little more compassionate. But it was good for him and it was good for us as a family.
Mhm. Do you know what kind of work he did in the military?
Engineer. He was an engineer, and even as he was in his 60s and 70s, those skills he learned as an engineer, he was still using them to do jobs and build things around the house and for neighbors and friends and things. He came to Seattle. Oh, one time we had a house up there, and we inherited it, and it needed to be remodeled. Dad came up in his motorhome and he remodeled the whole house. So he was very good. He was very crafty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So did he talk about places where he was stationed and where he traveled to?
That no, he never really went into that. I don't know. It wasn't something he wanted to talk about a lot, at least with us.
Mhm.
Um, so we just know that he went in. It was the company that he was with. I think they had some bad experiences,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, he didn't really talk about it a lot. He uh, he emphasized the discipline that he got out of the military, but that's probably strongest. And then he became a barber in Oakland, down in Oakland area, and a contract opened up in at Vandenberg. It was called it wasn't Vandenberg then. That was back in the 50s. And the gentleman that Dad worked for at the time had a contract at Davis Air Force Base, and he told Dad that he could get that contract for him. And Dad got the contract, and that's how we ended up moving up to first Santa Maria and then to Lompoc. And he had the contracts for the barbershops on base at the NCO club and the Airmen's Club.
Mhm.
And then he finally opened a shop in the village where we lived. So he had 3 barbershops at a time. Oak's Barbershop is still
Mhm.
up in the village. Yeah. And so Christine had bought the shop from my sister. Dad sold it to my sister after, after he retired. My sister eventually sold the shop to Christine. She's there now.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Did he talk about friends that he served with in the military?
He he was real closed mouthed about the military. It's one of those things where he learned a lot. He learned a lot growing as a young man, became a man in the military. He had a lot of respect for it. But at the same time, he talked about, he did talk about being a man that could go to war and come home in full uniform and how it hurt him to be disrespected. There were places he couldn't go, places where he couldn't, that just was a very, very sour place in his spirit.
Mhm.
Um, I think there was a lot of casualties during that World War II era.
Mhm.
And so people that he may have been friends with, I don't know if they survived or they just didn't, you know, they just didn't communicate a lot.
So
So
mostly what you know of his life is after he retired. Is that pretty much?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was towards the end. My sister was born. I was here. Robert, my brother, was here, and Dad, he became a civilian again. I think that transition was going on during that time. Um, so while he carried the military way, the discipline and the strictness and the goal orientation, he carried that. But I have pictures of him in his uniform, and um, yeah, I have his flag here and his picture in the back there. He was a young man, um, but I don't think I actually saw him in uniform.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I heard a story that he was he ever like the president of the NAACP here, or that he was very active with the NAACP?
he was active. Yeah, he was very active. I don't think he became president. He was in the Masonics. I
Mhm.
think he was a Grand Marshal.
Oh.
And he was pretty active. Now Dad might have been the president at one point. I left home when I was, got out of high school and went and was playing football at Hancock and then went up to Washington. So there was a lot of years when I was gone, and that was his active years. So there might be some things missing in my mind.
Mhm. Mhm. Also, was he one with Mr. Hutchinson
Yeah.
and Mr. Martin that integrated the Elks Lodge here?
Yeah. He told me about that. Um, and he again, I don't have a lot of detail about it, but I'm aware of it. Um, and I know Ernie. We used to when I came back to Lompoc, I was helping with the youth center that Dad built, that Dad and Gloria built, and we used to do golf tournaments up at the Village Country Club. And when I was asking Dad who should I get in touch with, he talked about Ernie, Ernie, and then Ernie's son, Ernie, was real close with one of my brothers.
Mhm.
And so then there was, gosh, there was also the, hmm, what was the club?
Arcturus?
Yeah, Club Arcturus. Yeah, yeah. He and Gloria. I guess they were pretty active there, and they used to do a lot of things in the city of Lompoc. Um, and again, I was gone, so I heard about them. Um, so I can't talk about it like with I'm real familiar,
Mhm.
but I know he felt real proud of those things.
Yes, my father
Mhm.
was a Mason, and
Yeah.
my mother was Eastern Star. And in those in their generation in that time here in Lompoc, the black community was
Yeah.
very active
Yeah.
and supporting one another, definitely in the churches,
Hmm.
um and
Yeah.
and in the city,
Yeah.
making their mark known here. And
Yeah. Yeah. He wanted me to become a Mason, which I did. I think I got 3 degrees. Um, and I never followed up with it though. Um, but I, I knew Brother May in Santa Maria and a few other guys that were in the Masonics, Mr. Columbus.
Mhm.
Um, that was one of Dad's close friends. Uh, and yeah, so mhm.
So you mentioned that you think that the military life did change him as a person.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what do you think he was most proud of from his service, military service?
Well, the fact that he achieved the Master Sergeant, he was pretty proud of that. If you can see his picture, you can see his face there.
Mhm.
Uh,
I
where
would
he,
love for you to uh,
yeah,
send me a copy of that if you
I'll
want
do
to take
that.
a photo with your phone or however you can get that to me so we can make sure that it gets into the exhibit, you know.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
I'll send you his picture and
Mhm.
then the flag
Yes.
up there with him. You can tell he was a proud man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did he
Yeah.
pass down any lessons or advice based on his time in the military to you or your siblings that you can think of?
Yeah, it just was a hard time. It was a hard time for him as a black man in Lompoc. He had to fight for everything. And when he bought his house and when he got the shop, the barber shop, he had to have this guy that was a friend of his, white guy, actually do the negotiations for the rental or lease of the barber shop.
Hmm.
And they didn't find out it was Dad until after it was signed. And the guy just told Dad, "Don't come around. Don't let it be known that it's you until it's done." But once it was inked and they found out they couldn't do anything about it, and when he was going to buy the house there in the village, in such a sad situation there, uh, they turned him down. With his loan application and stuff. They tried to steer him to Mission Hills, and Dad wouldn't go, and he was a little upset. He tells the story. I'm just repeating him now.
Yes.
Um, he tells the story about how discouraged he was one day when he went back to the barber shop after he'd been rejected, and the general came in for a haircut, and he noticed that Dad wasn't himself, and he asked him what was going on. And Dad told him the story about the house that he had applied for the house. I think we were like the 13th family to move into the village.
Mhm.
First black family, 13th overall family. But when the general found out what was going on, he called over there and told Dad, you go back over there, give me a day. And he called over there and he told him that um, it I don't know how the conversation went totally, but he told him that he would put the Vandenberg village off limits if they didn't make arrangements and for Dad to buy the house because he was qualified. It's not like it was, do it whether he's qualified or not. And with the same paperwork that he originally was turned down on, that went through when Dad went back over there. It had gone through, everything was approved, and we got our house at 3860 Uranus Avenue. We were all kids and we didn't know all this stuff was going on. Um, so it's things like that that he went through, and
Mhm.
he was very
Wasn't the
protective.
only one.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And he was very protective of us, so he didn't speak it to us, but you could feel the dis-ease that he had. So he carried that. And now as a man, that I'm a man in my age now, I think about him and I tell you, it's quite a guy, you know. So
Yeah, just the stories that I've heard. Well, I was speaking with Cassandra Martin um, Schwab,
mm,
Schwab,
mm,
and she had all the newspaper articles
yeah,
with your
yeah,
father and Mr.
yeah,
Hutchinson
yeah,
and uh, her father,
hmm,
and the battle that they went
yeah,
through to integrate, the Elks Lodge here in
mm,
Lompoc. So,
hmm,
there definitely were some,
yeah,
our parents and their generation
yeah,
when they came to Vandenberg, and to Vandenberg's credit, back in those days,
hmm,
they did step in and they
yeah,
did
yeah,
make the city
hmm,
um, integrate
yeah,
and offer housing and uh,
hmm,
that kind of thing to the black families. Because my dad or mom and dad tell the story when we first came here. I think it was like 1965 or 66,
oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
somewhere in there. I was, a child, little girl,
uh-huh.
that the base had to work with the real estate companies to rent to black families
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
town.
yeah,
So uh, those stories are coming out,
yeah.
and they're part of the history of us being in this
Lompoc.
community,
Yeah, yeah.
and the progress that we made,
Hmm.
our parents made being here
Yeah,
and showing up and being recognized. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
wonderful to talk to you and
yeah,
hear about more about your father. I
yeah.
want to know when future generations of your family hear about his service, what do you
Hmm.
hope they understand or remember about him?
I think there's this hidden side of him that he just felt that he needed to protect us from, and so he just took it on himself. He didn't have to do that. I wish he would have let us feel a little bit more of what he had to go through.
Mhm.
I think he would have been appreciated even a lot more. Um, I know he had like three houses, four houses that he bought in Mission Hills at one time just because he knew of how difficult it was for black people to rent a home. So he bought as many houses as he could, and he would rent them out. But um, and then the difficulty was that he would rent them out, but the people wouldn't pay the rent. So he just carried a lot of stuff, and um, but he had a lot of benefits that he qualified for as a veteran, and he would never apply for them until he got old and he couldn't. He just needed them, but he would never apply for the benefits because he felt like he was, I'm a man, I can work for him to do for myself and my family, that kind of mindset.
Mhm.
Um, so I think life could have been easier for him had he realized that he paid for those benefits. The I think Ernie or was it, who was the military? There was one of the reps, one of the veteran reps,
Mhm.
finally got him his medical and his,
Mhm.
and but he just wanted to carry and do his thing. He wanted to stand on his own 2 feet. That's the way he would say it, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mr. Willis, Dale Willis, I want to thank
Yeah,
you so much for sharing
yeah,
your memories today, and your perspective helps to keep your father's story alive, not just as a
yeah,
veteran, but as a whole person and a
yeah.
family member. Is there anything you'd like to add before we close?
I wish he could see some of his grandchildren and great grandchildren, because there are, my brother Mark's daughters. One has her doctor's degree, the other has her master's degree, and she's a lawyer. I have a daughter that's got her two daughters that's got master's degrees. Um, and he was the impetus of all of that. And he died before he could get a chance to see um, what he stood for. But it's spread out and it's really glowing now.
It's his
Um,
legacy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He has a wonderful legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, it's been wonderful speaking with you today.
Mhm.
And again, thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing your story and the memory of your father.
you bet.
And we all
Okay.
can relate to some extent,
Yeah.
those of us that um our parents were in that generation
Mhm.
that came here and made a difference. And
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course, my father and brothers and everybody went to Mr. Willis for their
Yeah.
haircut.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yes, and Cindy has that shop still here
Yeah.
in the village, and
Yeah.
so I mean, he definitely made his mark
Right.
and
That's
and
right.
left and left a legacy for us to follow. So
That's right.
thank you
That's right.
so much.
You bet. You bet. So